Okay, we'll be starting soon. We have with us head coach Mr. Brendan McCullum, captain Dinesh Karthik, vice captain Owen Morgan, and the CEO of KKR, Mr. Venki Mysore. So I would first like Mr. Mysore to say a few words, and then we will get on with the proceedings.
Great, thank you. Thank you all, first of all, for taking the time to join us. It's an unusual year when you know that you're doing a press conference virtually, but thanks to technology, we're still able to do it. So hopefully it'll be a really good interaction. And I know many of you have been anxious to find out what's going on in the KKR family in Abu Dhabi. And so we're very grateful that all of you have been able to join. Really delighted. First of all, Skipper is very much here to take your questions and answers. My job will be over once I make these initial comments. And coach, of course, Mr. McCullum making his debut as the KKR coach, although it feels like you've been around a long time, Baz. And I'm really delighted with Mr. Owen Morgan. Morgs, welcome. Great that you're joining virtually, even though you're in the same hotel, probably a few feet away from us. But that's the times that we're living in. He's just about finishing his quarantining requirement. Morgs and Pat Cummins and Tom Banton. So hopefully we'll see them out in open air sometime later today. So fingers crossed on that front. So I just want to thank you for joining the press conference, and I know there are questions that you have sent in, and I'm happy to take as many as we can. I think we're going to go question by question. So Achint is out there who will read out the questions, and then between coach and captain and vice captain will decide on who's going to take the questions. So I'll just shut up at this point and hand it over to you.
Owen Morgan, Morgs, can you talk us through your camaraderie with Brendan McCullum?
Yeah, of course. We're very good friends. I've been for a number of years now. I suppose the friendship started like any friendship does, with finding things that you enjoy in common, and I suppose making memories together through enjoying those things. And certainly there are a number of things, particularly when it comes to sport, that we enjoy. Probably horse racing is the main one, rugby as well, that both of us really enjoy experiencing. We've had some great days out, both together and with our families, and made some good memories. So we're good mates.
Question for Brennan. In the last auction, KKR spent a lump sum amount to rope in Pat Cummins, who would have been ideal bowler on the pacey and bouncy tracks of Eden Gardens. However, under current circumstances on slow, low UAE pitches where his extra pace can go against him, how does the team management would like to use the Aussie speedster?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think the conditions are probably a little similar to Eden Gardens. If we look at the first few games of this tournament, I think because the pitches in the UAE have not been utilised over the last few months, they seem to have quite a fresh tinge to them. And I think we've already seen so far in this tournament that fast bowlers have excelled, particularly ones who operated in and around that test match length. And if we look at the number one test bowler in the world, it is Pat Cummins. So I think through maybe a little bit of good fortune, we've probably landed in these conditions where his bowling should suit us. But we're delighted to have him on board. Not only is he a wonderful cricketer and he'll do a great job for us on the field, but he's also a strong leader and a wonderful human being who's been a part of the KKR franchise before, which is, again, another really important cog in the wheel for us as a franchise.
Question for DK. As we could see all the first three matches, the captain winning the toss decided to field first. How much of the factor will dew be?
I think it's been a little up and down in Abu Dhabi. Certain days there's been dew, and certain days when we went to practice and when we went to field, there wasn't too much dew. So it's a call we'll be taking on the day of the game. I think it's a hard one to predict that. So we'll keep that in mind, but I think the decision will be taken on the day of the game.
KKR this season.
I think we couldn't hear your question.
This question is for Owen Morgan. Do you see yourself in the role of a finisher for KKR this season?
I think with the squad that we have, it gives us a huge amount of options, particularly, I suppose, batting and bowling. I think Baz just alluded to it a minute ago when he talked about Pat Cummins being so versatile. And I think within the squad, we have a number of very versatile cricketers that can, probably if you're talking specifically about the batting department, we have guys that once they iron out their roles, could actually play quite a significant role. I know Andre Russell has played that role for a number of years now at Calcutta, and he's done it exceptionally well. And I think if I do get a go, hopefully I'll be able to aid that.
Plan to manage the workload of Andre Russell? Will he be bowling in IPL as he didn't bowl much in the CPL?
Was that for me, that question?
Yeah.
I didn't quite catch the
I
start.
think the first part of the question we couldn't hear, so just repeat, please.
How do you plan to manage the workload of Andre Russell? Will he be bowling in the IPL as he didn't bowl much in the CPL?
Who's that for?
Brendan McCullum.
The gentleman next to my right will make that decision out in the field, but it's another excellent option for us. We know his batting prowess and what he's been able to do in T20 cricket and in the IPL, and specifically for KKR in the past, is nothing short of sensational. But his ability to also bowl in crunch situations with the ball is something which we've identified as a real opportunity for us. But we have so many opportunities, so many options throughout the squad that the skipper and the vice captain will be able to make those decisions in the heat of the battle.
The next question is for Brendan McCullum again. Would we be seeing Ali Khan in this IPL?
Look, first and foremost, it's great to have Ali Khan in the Kolkata setup and also in the IPL, the first United States player to feature. He's been a real fillip for us at KKR, the extension of this franchise, and we've been very successful there. And he's been a part of that side, and he's won a lot of championships, and he deserves his opportunity to represent himself on the biggest stage, which is the IPL. I would imagine his opportunities would probably come deeper in the tournament, considering we have some very, very good options that we were able to pick up at the auction first and foremost, and through retention previously. But yeah, it's great to have him here. I know he's very excited to be here. If he does get his opportunity, I'm sure he'll certainly put his best foot forward.
The next question is for DK. How do you like the idea of KKR opening pair of Shubman Gill and Sunil Narayan?
Oh, I think I really like them. I think it's a no complicated batting style with Sunil Narayan, so that makes things easy for us. And Shubman is a gun, so he's a quality player, and there's a lot of expectations from him around the world, from him as a batter, and I'm sure he'll exceed all expectations. And we're all confident about him as a player and as a person. He's a gun as well. So it's good to have him, and it's a very unique opening pair, and that's something that we're really proud of.
Again, a question for DK. Against Mumbai Indians, head-to-head record of KKR was very poor. So what's KKR's game plan in the first game to see of the season against the defending champions?
Oh, it's good that we're playing them early in the tournament. I think they are a solid side. The records speak for themselves. We're very aware of that. Every year is a fresh year with two good teams, and I'm sure it'll be a great game tomorrow.
Owen Morgan, you have just come back from Manchester. Will it be an issue to adapt on UAE pitches?
Yeah, I hope. I think having watched the game so far, the wickets, I suppose, like the coach alluded to, have a tinge more of green than we probably have thought coming to play in the UAE. So, if anything, so far in the tournament, and I think this will continue to change, they've been more similar to English pitches than any other.
Okay. In the last 3 matches, we have seen spinners bowling faster through the air. Is that a conversation you have had with Kuldeep Yadav specifically, or would you like to?
This question for me?
Yes, DK.
I think definitely we've had those conversations around not only Kuldeep, I think the rest of the bowling unit as well. That's something that we have spoken about, the kind of speeds that you need to bowl. I think it's changed from year on. I think that's one of the things the bowlers are aware of as well. So that is definitely something that we have spoken about, and that will be something you'll be seeing throughout the tournament, not only from us, but I think through all franchises, have been having conversations, the kind of speed spinners need to bowl, the lengths, etc.
Another question for DK. Do you plan to bat up the order ahead of Nitish Rana this time, since last year the change of position proved successful for the team?
Coach. That's the call coach is going to tell me to do. You'll see it, I think, tomorrow. I think that's something that's top on our agenda as well. The coach is not letting me go where I want, so, we'll see what happens.
I'd like to follow on from that. We've got good left-hand and right-hand options, which we want to pride ourselves on playing intelligent cricket as well, and being able to be able to adapt to situations as they come about. And we've got such world-class players in the likes of Dinesh and also Nitish that we can mix and match a little bit based on the strategy we think will be successful. But that will certainly include at some stage in the season, whether it be tomorrow or in games coming, the skipper batting a little bit up the order.
What could be a challenging score on such a wicket? Is 160 a challenging score on these wickets?
For me, I think looking at the games that have been played, looks like 160 is a pass score on most grounds. The couple of grounds that they've played, 160 seems to be the total that most teams have hit. But there's no reason that a higher total couldn't be achieved or a lower total couldn't be defended. I think that's the beauty of this game. It depends on that day, the wicket that we play on. But the way the tournament has progressed in these first three games, all three teams have scored in around 160. So yes, I think 160 is a very interesting number this year.
Question for DK. Plenty of pace bowling options for KKR. Who will be the go-to partner for Pat Cummins or Lockie Ferguson in these conditions? How is Nagar Koti's rhythm ahead of the tournament?
I think it's a brilliant question for a start, because I think one of our strengths as KKR bowling unit is the variety we have in our fast bowlers. I think all four Indian pacers are shaping up really well. So, it's going to be a hard decision to make who's going to start the tournament, but that's one thing that, we're very aware of. In terms of them being where they are as players, I think they're pretty much very confident of their skill sets. We played a few practice games. They've come around nicely. So we're in a good space the other day, me and Baz were discussing one of the tough points of KKR at this point of time is picking the right 11. I think a lot of guys have put their hands up and ready for selection. So it's going to be an interesting one, a tough one, but that's a good sign for a good team.
Morgan's game since he last played for KKR, aside from the small fact that he led England to a World Cup win?
Can you just repeat that first part of that?
So the question is for Owen Morgan. What has changed in Owen Morgan's game since he last played for Kolkata Knight Riders, aside from the small fact that leading England to a World Cup win?
I think it's been quite a few years since I've played. So I think in the most successful, if we're just looking at batting years that I've had as a cricketer, have been the last 3 to 4 years. My game has come on quite a lot. I've obviously been a little bit more experienced and coming into my finals as a batsman. So I'd like to think I've come on quite a lot.
I like the word that you alluded
to. Question for DK. Which department of Mumbai Indians is more threatening? Opening pair of Rohit Sharma and Quinton de Kock, or death over pair of Trent Bolt and Jasprit Bumrah?
I think both are good. I mean, look, they have a team of world-class players, just like other teams do. I think just the fact that they won the competition much more than the others shows that they're a very strong lineup. It's very hard for me to pick. One is batting, one is bowling. How am I going to pick from that? But I can tell you that they have a strong team. And as I said, we're two good teams. We're prepared as well. And when two good teams play against each other, you can definitely expect a good game.
Question from Shayak. What's your views on the other teams' fitness? Do you feel everybody is in a better shape than the rest of the time?
Was that for me?
Yeah, that's for you.
I'm certainly not throwing stones about people's shape around the cricketing world. I think various people have dealt with this COVID period in various ways, and we just focused on our side. Our guys are very fit, they're very determined. You can see they've been putting the work in, and it means a lot to them to get the opportunity to play in this tournament. So we have no excuses heading into the tournament. We can't wait to get started, and tomorrow's our start date. So here's hoping things go well.
Question for Venki Mesur. Are there any more doubts regarding the availability of England and Australia players for tomorrow's match?
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, they're just down the corridor. So we hope so. Mogs, are you in the hotel? Yeah. No, I don't think there's any doubt, and I think the good thing is from a captain and coach standpoint, all players will be available for selection. So over to them.
Question for Brendan McCullum. Is it fair to assume that Pat Cummins, Owen Morgan, Andre Russell, Sunil Narayan and Ali Khan have a fair bit of advantage because of the fact that they played a bit of cricket in coming into the IPL?
Look, I think it's a positive that those guys have played a lot of cricket for sure, and highly competitive cricket at that. The one thing I will say as well, though, is that I'm sure the other teams have gone through equally as detailed preparation phase as what our guys have here in the UAE, and we've managed to get a lot of practice games under our belt. The conditions here have been fantastic. We've been very well looked after while we've been over here, and we've certainly enjoyed being able to spend a considerable amount of time as a squad preparing for this tournament. So I think game time is hard to replicate. So there is some guys who have got that under their belt, but we certainly have no excuses from a preparation point of view with the work that we've been able to do.
A question for DK. How important is it for cricketers to have their workout in a group session, and how much of a disadvantage was it to not be able to do that for almost 6 months?
Yes, I think when you do in a group session, I think you tend to push yourself a lot more. I think that's at least from my side, that's happened a lot more. Sometimes when you're just doing it alone, the motivation can be a little hard one to fathom. But I think there's no excuse as professional sportsmen these days. The least you can do is make sure you're as fit as you can be. A lot of people have used this time to become the strongest and fittest version of themselves. So, it's a hard one for a lot of guys, but I think there have been some guys who really pushed it hard.
Can everybody be on mute, please?
Yes. So I think a lot of guys have pushed themselves during the lockdown and, been really fit. For a lot of others, they prefer group sessions. And I think that's one thing with our trainer, Chris Donaldson, we did have a few sessions on Zoom as well. Even during quarantine, he didn't give us that free time. I think Mark can also talk about that a little bit. He has a cycle in his room the last time I went there. So it's been something that all of us guys have been doing. So, and I'm sure a lot of the teams and a lot of the players have also been doing that.
This is question for DK and Brendan, whoever wants to answer. Kuldeep Yadav didn't have a great season last year, but it is always beneficial to have a wrist spinner in the ranks. What is expected of Kuldeep on the pitches of UAE?
Look, I think naturally in any cricketer's career, you're going to go through periods where you hit peak performance, and you're going to have times where you're challenged slightly, and that's the nature of being at the top of the top level, that other teams start to do more research on you and they start to try and question you in certain ways with your own skill level. And I think what we've seen from Kuldeep is that he has been challenged a little bit, but I can tell you now he's come back stronger. He looks incredibly fit at the moment. He's very determined, and when given his opportunity, I'm sure he's going to put up a very bold showing, and I know that he would love to be able to get himself back to the lofty heights of being the chief Indian spinner, and that's a great thing from a captain and a coach and a senior player's point of view, is you've got world-class players who are very determined to perform on this stage over the next couple of months.
Is the absence of huge Eden Garden crowd going to be a factor for Kolkata Knight Riders? A question is for DK.
Yes, I think that's something that we will definitely miss, the energy that Eden Gardens brings to us. That's something that's very special, not only to the way we play our cricket, but just the noise they make, the love they give throughout the time that we play, irrespective of how the result goes, they remain the same, and that's something we really value. We will miss that, but as I keep saying, that's the one reason we'll be playing this tournament for. The people out there, we'll want to make them proud and put a smile on their faces. Every time they see KKR play, I think they should be proud of the way we represent ourselves on the field.
The final question. Have you guys talked about celebrations in these testing times? It was noticed that there was a lot of high times from RCB players in the last night's match.
Look, I think sometimes it's hard to hold emotions. I think everybody wants to be careful. I think off the field you can see there's social distancing between me and Venki sir itself during this press conference. So we're trying to do as much as all of that possible. But once you get on the ground, I think sometimes you need to allow the emotions to come through a little bit. I think you can't be too robotic about it. I think we're all in a bubble. I think we're all making sure that we don't do anything silly by moving out of the bubble. So given the fact that we're all together, I think you should give us a little bit of leeway and allow us to celebrate whenever we pick a wicket. And hopefully that happens very often during when we bowl.
One more has popped in for DK. Who could be the surprise package for KKR this year?
Those kind of questions are something that, I always refrain from answering because I feel that, there are a lot of players, like if you take a Kamlesh Nagarkot, he hasn't played cricket for a couple of years. So, he's something that is obviously a lot of surprise package when it comes to him as a player. But, I'm expecting, people from different, batting and bowling to stand up at various points of time. Take Shubman Gill, take Nitish Rana. These people are all capable of producing match-winning performances. We have seen that time and time again. So I wouldn't like to pick up one. I think the bigger question for me would be that we all pull in together as a team and make sure every time somebody does something special, they help us cross the line.
That will be all, everybody, from this press conference. Thanks for joining in. All the best to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thanks.